Hey, welcome back, watch fans. One of the great things about watches, about the watch collecting, I don't even want to use the word hobby or collecting. One of the great things about watches is there you go. See, this is day date. This is actually a tool watch. It's right. You can use this while you're feeding your thoroughbred horses. We're going to be sending these guys up to the Kentucky Derby in a couple of months. Make some money and buy some APs. And but one of the great things about watches is that it's actually unlike, let's just say, cars, right? There's a lot of older guys that are into, cars, muscle cars, all that stuff, and they collect cars or they collect, I don't know, guns, let's say, right? Or even, let's use the word art, something which, I've had experience in dealing in art. One of the big issues is with cars, you have the issue of space. You need to have space for these things. You need to have maintenance. You need to have maintenance for these things, and insurance. There's a lot of costs involved, right? And pretty much, even if you're, let's just say, well-to-do, right? Let's say you're wealthy, right? Let's say, you're worth $50 million. The reality is, most likely you probably have a 3-car garage. Maybe you have a 4-car garage, right? Most people, right, they don't have huge garage spaces, right? So then you're going to run into the issue of, I don't know, storage or who knows what, right? And then it just costs keep spiraling out of control. You have restoration issues. You got all sorts of stuff, right? And then let's talk about the big issue is, let's say you're married, right? Let's say you're married, and now you got to justify, you got to explain to your wife every time, you spend money. Or I shouldn't say spend. You invest in one of these things, right? Let's say, you're buying the Porsche or the Ferrari, whatever it is. You gotta, it's like, you're making the money, but you got this, all of a sudden, you got this business partner. You got this business partner who you gotta justify everything to, right? Now, it's, and even with, let's go back to, okay, let's talk about, there's a lot of guys who collect guns, right? I'm not even talking about, like, antique type stuff, whatever. Look at this, horses. Unbelievable, but true, guys. Don't be a lollipop sucker or a window licker, okay? Don't be a horse's ass and pay retail for Rolex, okay? The prices will be coming down. Or Patek, I'm talking about Aquanaut, Nautilus. I think those things are going to be dead. Royal Oak, I think, will survive and do well, but Nautilus and Aquanaut is dead. Now, that's right. The market is like that. So, let's say you collect antique guns, right? Listen, first of all, that's another thing. You got storage issues. They take up a lot of space, right? They do take up space. You have insurance costs. You got, and then again, your wife is not going to be thrilled if you're buying some crazy, I don't know, guns for, like, I don't know, 50 grand, a couple hundred grand, or even 10 grand, or whatever it is, right? Or, if you're buying, I don't know, modern guns. There's a bunch of these guys out there, they're, building little arsenals, right? I mean, I've seen this on YouTube. There's guys who have whole collections of, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of guns, right? Now, I know you do definitely need some firearms for home defense, right? Obviously, is a good idea, good investment. But do you need to spend a couple hundred grand on hundreds of I don't know, whatever you're buying, HKs, Glocks, I don't know, whatever you're buying, right? With art, you have the issue of, and this is, I'm telling you from my experience dealing in art, let's say I'm selling a painting to, there's always going to be some cock blocker, right? Like, the husband likes it, the wife doesn't like it. I'm talking about even like, high-end, or, I was dealing with, relatively high-end stuff, like serious paintings, not like decorative bullshit that they sell in malls. There's always somebody that is got an opinion, right? There's always, what do you think? See, the horse loves the day-date 36. The horse loves the day-date 36 because this is a horse with taste. This is an aristocratic horse. You could tell this is an aristocratic horse with taste, a horse of wealth and taste. But yeah, with painting, there's always going to be somebody, they like it, they don't like it, they can't agree. Then again, with paintings, look, if you're a serious collector, right, the reality is also, no matter how wealthy you are, if you're like a real collector, you will run out of space, okay? If you're hanging paintings in your house, even if you have a 10,000 square foot house, you're going to run out of space if you're like, doing serious stuff, especially if you're dealing with, contemporary paintings, which are quite large usually, or you don't even get me started on sculpture. It can get pretty crazy, right? I don't know, actually this horse, I think, what do I give him a little tap on the head? A little tap on the head. Actually, you never know these animals. You never know these animals and what they're gonna do. So I don't want to get too involved here. But yeah. So what happens is you end up having to get into storage, right? Most serious collectors are spending, it could be thousands of dollars a month on storage, right? And then you got insurance costs, all that stuff. And by the way, transporting art. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on transporting moving paintings, right? Now, when it comes to watches, here's the beautiful thing about watches. So this is what you should tell your wife. By the way, if you need to get permission from your wife about buying a watch, here's my advice. This is what I would tell my clients when they would, when they would say, "Oh, I gotta ask my wife." I would say, "Look, how often do you beat your wife?" And I say, "What?" No, I said, like, "How often do you beat your wife?" And I say, usually they would say never. I say, "Look, why don't you, you should definitely give her a little slap, a little beating every, let's say every Tuesday, right? Every Tuesday or maybe every Thursday. Yeah, you gotta smack her around a little bit so she knows, who's in charge, right?" Now, don't try this at home. I'm not giving you advice here. I know YouTube is very sensitive about these things. These things here. Definitely what you need to do is, if you do need to speak to your wife, very simple explanation. So you have to say, "Honey, first of all, these things are actually an investment, right? Look, this is an asset that'll appreciate usually, right? It is actually better than money in the bank. This is, if you're buying like, a decent watch, even if you buy one of these dates, you're going to appreciate. You're gonna basically beat inflation or keep up with inflation, okay? And you know what? If if something happens to you, right? If something happens to you, you're gonna have all those watches that she could sell. She could, let's say you drop dead, she can take all those APs, Richard Milles, and consign them to the Timepiece Gentleman, right? I mean, or whatever, right? Or the some other guys, or she could run off, right? Let's say she runs off with the mailman, right? She could take all those Rolexes that you have, all the big collection of stainless. Now, again, if you have a whole collection of stainless sports Rolex, your wife will run off with the mailman. I guarantee you this, okay? So, you want to diversify. You want to get real watches. So basically you have to explain that, look, this is, first of all, this really is an asset, right? You show the historic information. Morgan Stanley agrees with what I'm saying, by the way. This is basically, it's, the other thing is this. You don't want to have all your money in the bank or in brokerage accounts and everything. You need to have hard assets. And this is actually true. Sometimes I joke around a little bit, but you do need to have some things that you have physically. You want to hold gold, right? Let's say gold. You don't want to. First of all, by the way, don't be a tomato can or a window licker, and fall for these things with these gold storage or silver storage places. Those things are scams, which are like would make Anthony, the timepiece gentleman, look like the Pope. Okay, if you're gonna own gold, okay, you should hold it physically. It's got to be in your possession, meaning keep it. I don't know where you keep it at home, wherever you want to keep it, but you need to have access to it. That's the whole point of it. Okay, it's not about keeping it at some place, who knows where or whatever. They're holding it for you, allegedly. No, you want to have some assets, right? And if you have, you can have a couple $100,000 in watches. Shit, you can have 100, but if you're using it as an investment, generally, I would say, look, you want to have a bunch of 10, 20,000, 50,000 type dollar watches, not multi-100,000, because if you need to liquidate, these things are much easier. These things are basically, cash in the bank. It's a liquid asset, worldwide, global, worldwide asset, right? So if especially if you're in one of these, third world countries, or even in America or Canada, right? You want to have, you do want to have some sort of transportable wealth, if you know what I mean, right? So the point is, you need to explain to your wife, look, honey, this is an asset. It's gonna protect us against inflation. You do need to have hard assets that you have at home, or you definitely have it, whether it's gold or whatever it is. And by the way, watches are better than gold. Actually, watches are I would say as good as or better than gold. Okay, and also it has utility value. You can actually use it. Okay, it's transportable. So I would say actually it's better than gold, because you can shift a $100,000 watch easier than you can shift, $100,000 worth of gold. $100,000 worth of gold is 50 ounces, all right? 50 ounces, that's 4 pounds almost. You're going to carry around 4 pounds. No, you put on a watch and there you go. You sell it across the street or whatever it is, right? So you got that going for you, right? You got the transportable wealth, portable wealth. It is a hard asset that keeps up with inflation. And the other thing is, it does have utility value, okay? Because quite frankly, you could wear it, right? Your wife could wear it. So I do suggest you buy a couple of pieces that are kind of 37 millimeter, 36 millimeter, that could be worn by women. That way she make her feel like she could wear it, whatever. No, but this is actually true. Actually, women look great. This is the fact is, ladies look great in wearing a certain men's watch, a certain men's watch, right? And I'm not talking about a Richard Mille, but like something like a Rolex Daytona, which actually I hate or whatever, but women actually could. It's a good look. Even a day date, I don't know about day date. Day date, not a day date 40, but day date 36. One of these like rare dial day dates or whatever. Yeah, you could let her wear it out of the house. So every once in a while, she could impress her idiot friends with it. There you go. So, and you're not going to have that issue that you have with stupid things like, collecting cars, collecting guns. Don't get me started on these baseball cards, okay? That is the dumbest thing. I mean, this is the crazy. I know some of these things are worth money, whatever. But look, here's the thing. You're not gonna impress women. You're not gonna get laid by saying, "Hey, honey, let me show you my baseball card collection. Let me show you my comic book collection. Let me show you my, whatever. Watch is not quite there. It's not quite, whatever. It's not, art. I guess you could, in theory, if they want to, they want to feel like they're cultured or something. But yeah, look, this is an international asset. This translates across every culture, every part of society. Okay, that's what watches are. That's why I think it's actually one of the best things out there. Again, you don't have any transportation costs or issues, no maintenance, no realistic maintenance like you have with cars. Like you got to keep these things. You got to keep on top of these things, even if you're not using them. You got to keep on top of them with cars. You don't have issues like with art. Again, it's storage costs if you're doing it on a serious level. Again, transportation costs, things like that. With these things, it's really the ultimate. I believe this is the ultimate. Let's use the word collectible investment. That's what this is. This is the ultimate collectible investment. I'm wearing this watch. Now, let's use this as an example. Has this been a good investment? Well, to be honest, no, not quite. Because I think I said I paid like $6,000 for this, like 1998 or something like that, which is today's. It's equivalent to like 15 grand or so. And this watch, and again, it came with a bracelet, the bark bracelet and all that. Today the watch with a bark bracelet with a blue dial I have, it's probably worth, I don't know, it's like the market's come down, so maybe 12 grand, maybe a little more, maybe 14 you can maybe somehow, but really I would say 12 is a safe number with the bracelet. So it's not been quite a good investment. Again, you want to diversify. Day dates, for whatever reason, gold, they have not performed as well. But when you think about it, it's paid off in dividends, right? How many times have I worn it? How much use have I gotten out of it? Utility value. And look, you can own a stock. It's like owning a stock. And I've been stuck with a couple of these dogs, right? You buy a stock for the dividends, right? Usually the stocks that have the good yields, they have the good yields for a reason, because the fucking stock doesn't go anywhere, right? The thing's, in theory, it's paying you, I don't know, 6, 7, 8% or whatever, 10%. But usually that's because the thing it's got some issues, right? Usually good dividend stocks that have growth are, 2% or whatever. And then hopefully the dividend grows. But, I look at it this way. I've had it for, how many years, right? Over 20 years. Oof, man, I feel old. But, amazing. I got this watch. So it also has it's psychic value, right? Look, I got this when I was in my 20s, right? Mid-20s. It gives you a good feeling when you have it. It's, it was a feeling of accomplishment when I got it. That's what for this watch was. Again, I got, I don't know, a bunch of other watches, but I'm wearing this one. Why? I've been wearing this one a lot lately. Actually, as I've been saying, I think the day date's very versatile on the strap, It's actually a good beater watch because, look, if I bang into a rock or something, it gets scraped up, the gold gets scraped up. It's a vintage watch. It's just going to add to the look. It's going to add to the charm of the watch when it's banged up. But you try that with your your shiny I don't know, whatever polished steel, sports steel Rolex, even up, it's gonna take away from the watch when those things don't look good scratched up. Gold, a vintage gold watch like this looks great scratched up. It means it's lived a good life. A life well lived, as the French might say, right? So that's the situation. So I think actually, if I banged up against this over here, no problem. It wouldn't bother me. Now, if I did that with my Yachtmaster, right, the Yachtmaster 40, it would bother me if I scratched that bracelet or the case. I actually do have a couple of small little scratches in the case, or the Submariner or whatever. Now, that's why, again, I recommend this. Now, again, today, so if you look at the investment, has it been a good investment? It's done its job, okay? So it's basically, let's call it doubled. It's doubled in, 20 years. That's not good, by the way. That's like a 3% rate. But I've probably gotten, who knows how much value out of it. Plus, there's the optionality. There's the whole, it's got that portable wealth aspect of it. So, it's actually done quite well. Now, I do have other watches that have, appreciated. Again, you have these outliers, right? Like the AP that tripled or quadrupled in value. some other things that increased a lot. Those are outliers. Really, you're looking at generally these things are going to be going 5% a year, unless you catch certain, you ride a certain trend with some of these models, right? Like I see like certain models are going to be doing pretty well, in the next couple of years. I think, I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think that, there's going to be some new trends emerging. Well, look at the Cartier thing, which it's funny, I kind of missed out on that. I wasn't a big fan of Cartier, but I was looking at Cartier. I was like, whatever. And look, Cartier, the Cartier, vintage Cartier, all of a sudden it's the hottest thing. It's the hottest thing. Why? I don't know, some rapper wore Cartier, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my God, oh, this is the best thing ever. Last year, all these gurus on YouTube, they were telling you, oh, Cartier is garbage, don't buy Cartier. Now they're saying, oh, this is the best, this is the best thing ever. That's what these boiler room tomato can Muppet boiler room guys do on YouTube. But I'm telling you the real truth here. So yeah, this is, I think, an essential investment. So I just gave you a justification. I gave you the logical reasons why you must own watches. That's right, you must own watches. You must own 5% of your wealth should be in watches. Actually, okay, that's a little bit crazy. But no, yeah, why not? 5%. 5% of your assets could be in watches. Why not? Yeah, I think that makes sense. Let's say, look, let's say you have $100,000 net worth, $5,000. Yeah, okay, it makes sense. If your net worth is $1 million, you could $50,000. Yeah, I guess that 5% number is safe. So, if you have, if your net worth is $100,000 and you have, $100,000 in watches, that's a little bit, you have all your money in watches. You don't have any cash. You don't, you don't have any real estate. Everything's in watches. That's not too bright. But definitely 5% could be in watches. Maybe should be. Just like they used to say, you should have 5% of your assets in gold, precious metals, right? So that to me makes sense, because again, we've already seen that these kind of collectible watches, actually they've performed pretty much, they've tracked gold. There's a good decent correlation, especially if it's a gold watch, even more so. But yeah, there is a good correlation, and again, you have utility value, so you're wearing it in the meanwhile. So that's why I'm kind of bullish on these watches. Anyway, let me know what you punters think. Leave your vicious and nasty comments below and subscribe to the channel.